on and everything's working relatively well. So what you can see, hopefully, here's my camera that I'm going to shoot with. It's just a regular 6D. It's got a 24-105 on it. It's on my normal everyday tripod that I use. This is an old Manfrotto 55 Pro that is, you know, at the time, it's probably about $400 now. I think they're around $600, but it's 20 years old. I mean, you know, you spend $600 and 20 years from now, your tripod's still in great working shape. It's been around the world a couple times. It has a lot of great features. I use these heads because I like them, because they have multiple levels on them and a quick release and very solid tripod that'll hold heavy lenses without a problem. I don't know if you can actually see this or not, but this is a giant Manfrotto sandbag that hooks onto it that I have a bunch of those that I've bought. I like a sandbag on my tripod because it makes it even more robust. Okay, so and then in this cable here is just the regular USB out, which goes to this one, which is the extension cable, which goes to the laptop, which puts us into Lightroom. So now we're in Lightroom. We've already demoed getting everything going, and I'm getting the rainbow wheel of death because I touched my camera. Okay, there we go. It's back. Never touched the cables. So here's my kitchen. What I've done here is I've styled it up a little bit to make it look a little nicer. Usually when I come into a space, the interior designers will have pre-styled everything. Sometimes I still tweak stuff because sometimes through camera it looks different than what it looks like to the naked eye. One of my designers told me that I have this weird habit, and she says it doesn't bother her, but I still can't stop myself, is that I will take a shot, and if I don't really like something about the styling, I have this habit of pointing it out in Lightroom and saying, is this the way you want it to look? So I guess it kind of sounds condescending and a little... She says her and her designer friends all laugh about it because I shoot for 4 designers that are all best friends, and I guess I've been passed around by them, so to speak. So in this, we've got some interesting areas. I try and keep it nice and clean. There's stuff that's got to be on the counters. It can't be too sterile, but you don't want a lot of junk lying around. The keys to this kitchen is we've already got this shot taken. I want to go up to f8 though, because I want a little more depth of field for this. So we'll take this up to f8, and I'm going to take this off same as previous. We start new. At f8, that's probably going to be like 1/4 of a second. I didn't realize I was actually in the shot. To get myself out of the shot, if I'm going to be a... Okay, so there we have our shot, and I'm looking at it, and there's a couple things I see. First of all, I've got this hot spot that I don't like. So I'm going to play with the blinds till I get rid of it. Okay? That's going to save me probably 25 minutes in Photoshop because I would have to take that out regardless. Right? And I'm going to be in this shot again. So now I'm looking at it and it's kind of dark in here, so I want to start getting some lighting going on. This kitchen was designed, well, it was designed by me, so it has some features over here in that I have dimmer switches on my pot lights. So I'm going to turn the pot lights on first. I know I'm going to want the under counter lighting because I love under counter lighting, so I'm going to turn those on. We'll take this shot and see where we're at. So right away, I'm gonna change my exposure. So now you look at this and the exposure is not too bad because I can fix what's going on. I haven't dealt with the color yet, but these pot lights are just exploding in this shot. So I need to knock them down a little bit, and that's where the beauty of dimmer switches come in. So I'm going to take that down about 2/3, see how it looks. So that's a pretty good balance. I think we're right in there where we want to be. I'm not sure about this because it looks a little dark to me. So I have lights under the stove. However, you see you end up with these hot spots here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these. I'm going to keep both shots. So I have with it and then without it. I would show it to the designer. I would ask them, you know, which do you prefer? If the designer wants to keep these, then I'm going to have to do something with them in Photoshop. I'm going to have to dodge them and try and burn them in a little bit. If the designer says, no, I don't need those, they're not doing anything for me, then I'm going to turn them off and I'm going to go with this shot. Okay, so now I've got my overall shot. As you can see, it doesn't take me long. I can shoot a room pretty quickly. As long as I can play with the lights and muck about with the lights. Now I have a big light source right here, which is screen doors, but I'm lucky in that some thoughtful person put translucent curtains into the shot that is able to kick that back. If I didn't have those curtains and it was a bright sunny day, it might get too bright. It's actually not making much of a difference today because it's not that. I have a hazy sunlight over top. But if it's too bright, you may need to knock that back by bringing your own diffusion material. That's where that shower curtain can come in handy. You can bring that shower curtain with you wherever you want to go. So I think I'm okay with the overall shot. I think I've got an overall shot that I like. Before I move to the vignette, any questions about that? Geez, I like it when you guys say no. No questions is great. So a vignette, remember I said a vignette would be a slice. So I would be looking for something interesting to photograph in here. That's kind of, you know, maybe a vignette wants to be this area here because the designer says, oh, look at that. We spent a fortune on this fancy dancy little faucet, or we spent a boatload of money on this. I think for this house, for this kitchen, the vignette really is this area right here. So we'll try and keep this, and we'll keep these cupboards, which are a good feature, and then the stove, and then maybe a little bit over there. So as I mentioned, I like vignettes that are vertical. So we're going to keep this on. Still have my sandbag, which is weighing a ton. Now, vignettes are one thing where I think it is pretty critical to try and keep this back as vertical as possible. Okay, now I can cheat and look at the one on the back of the camera so I can get this one. Okay, let's see how this looks. So that would be a pretty straightforward vignette. One thing that occasionally designers will ask for is to turn these light on in the stove because you can get a little bit of life out of it. My stove, of course, has the darkest front window going. I don't think you're getting anything out of it. Last shot, we want to do a detail shot. So there's a lot of different things you can think about in a detail shot. Like I might do a real tight kind of shot of just this little bird here with the kitchen going out of focus in the background because it's just something that it's like, oh, look at the little detail the designer did. Or I might, sometimes the designer wants to point out a feature, like maybe they want to say, oh, this is a special dishwasher that nobody else on earth has. Or maybe they want to do something like this where they want to show, little drawers like this, which have, really not nice sponges in it. But it's a feature of a kitchen that not every kitchen has, so they're trying to point that out. So for me, I think for the detail shot, I'm going to do the stove. And I'll see if this cable will reach. And I'm going to get rid of my sandbag for the detail shot because it's a little bit heavy for what I'm going to do. So we'll just come down here. So the one thing I said before, sometimes detail shots, I want to change the f-stop. Maybe go to wide open because I don't need nearly as much depth of field because we're just trying to get a little different look to it. Right? So maybe we do something like that as a detail shot. Okay, so could do a detail of that, could do a detail in there, we could do something across here, maybe the palm tree, which is here, is something that the designer really likes. You want an overall shot, you want a vignette, you want maybe a couple of vignettes, you want to show any features in your detail shots, whether it's something like this, or maybe it's this pan drawer that we have here. There's a bunch of different kind of weird little drawers that kitchens sometimes have. So a high-end kitchen might have something interesting in it that a designer wants to show off. That same style translates into every room in the house. I might be shooting a hallway and then catch some interesting rungs on the staircase, or I might be, trying to, you can't see it, there's an interesting lamp right here that you might want to show off. And that's really about it. The only other thing I should probably show you, because what I want to do next is I'm going to do the Photoshop work and the processing out work. So I'll actually stop the YouTube live to do that, and we'll go back to virtual classroom to that. but I should show you the director of this film because the director's kind of laying down on the job here. And this director doesn't seem to care what we're doing. It's just sleeping in the window.